for this Thursday. This is our Thursday, first Thursday of June message. We're glad you could be with us today. We're in the commandments, and I hope that you are learning and growing in the commandments. Commandments are very important. We need to know them. If we would keep these commandments, things would be a whole lot better in our lives. The third commandment is this: remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Now let's go back and go back to the understanding of the Sabbath. For the Jewish folks, the Sabbath was Saturday. That was the last day of the week. That was the seventh day. Go back to the Genesis story. That began the Sabbath. It says that God did all these things in the creation through the first 6 days. Then on the seventh day, he rested from all his creation. Now, it is good to have a time of rest. We need that. But also a time of worship. Now, we as Christians, we have set aside Sunday as our Sabbath day. Now, the reason we have done that is because why? Jesus was what? Raised from the dead on the first day of the week, which was Sunday. So therefore, Easter and the resurrection of Christ being the most seminal thing to ever happen within Christianity. If Paul, the apostle, said, if it is not for the hope of resurrection, we're a sad people. If there is no resurrection, then we're just wasting our time, basically. And Jesus was raised on that first day. So every week for us is a remembrance, actually, of that resurrection in a way that we set aside. Now, every week we should have a day of rest. We should have time for God. Worship. We need to be in the house of God. We should be faithful to the house of God. I will say most folks today who are my age and down are under this impression that, well, I come every 3-4 weeks, and I'm a regular attender of church that way. No, I'm sorry. Regular attendance is once a week, coming and being in the house. Now, I'm not saying you can't take a vacation or any of that. We want you to do. That's a Sabbath that we all need. But again, don't fool yourself by saying, well, I'm a regular attender and I come every little bit. No, you're not being faithful to this commandment when you do that. And also you're hurting yourself and you're hurting your family when you're not in the house of God. Now, recently we haven't been able to do that because of this COVID thing. But we're having our parking lot service. I encourage everybody to come. There are some I know still can't. But we do ourselves a disservice and hurt ourselves when we are not around God's people, when we do not worship together, when we are not here sharing one another's joys and also bearing one another's burdens and holding one another accountable. But I want to give you one last thought on the Sabbath. Again, we need to be faithful to it. We need to rest. We need these times to rest our bodies, our spirits, and our minds too. We need all that. Let's go back to that Genesis text. It says, in the evening and the morning were the first day, the second day, the third day, the fourth day, the fifth day, and the sixth day. The evening and the morning. On the seventh day, God never said, and the evening and the morning were the seventh day. The Sabbath never really closed. He never closed it out. There is a continual Sabbath. Every day is a day set aside for God. Every day is a day that we should worship and praise God. Every day is a day that we should find time for Christ in our lives. The Sabbath has never truly closed. Yes, we set aside Sunday as that special Sabbath celebration each week. But every day truly is a Sabbath set aside for God, for our lives and for our world. I pray today that God would bless and keep